Identify the roles, and we want to briefly describe our roles, starting with the grammarian.
Good evening. I'm going to be the grammarian. My name is Lawrence Crompton, for those of you that don't know me. The purpose of the grammarian is to try to help people to improve grammar. Now, unfortunately, I'm not very grammatically inclined, so I generally focus more on filler words like and double words and simple things like that. As a grammarian, I also keep track of the word of the day and see how many people are able to use the word of the day. And the word of the day today is gnosis, which is not the opposite of yeses, by the way. Gnosis is knowledge, especially spiritual understanding of spiritual mysteries or truths. Our science, in the sense of our collective gnosis, is so huge in its implications and far-reaching in its sophistication, it defies description, let alone assessment. So, gnosis is the word of the day. Please try to use it in your topics this evening.
Thank you, grammarian. Next, we'll have the tabletops, and we'll have Luke Green here, tabletop master.
Yes, sir. Good evening, fellow Toastmaster members. My name is Luke Green. I'll be the Table Topics Master. This is a section of the meeting where we get to test our impromptu speaking abilities. And what I'll do is I got some topics written down. I'll ask for volunteers, and if no one volunteers, then I'll start picking people, and we'll try to knock out some table topics. And you have a time limit of 1 minute. 1 minute, 30 seconds, or 2 minutes. And we will be holding up cards, or I'm sorry, the light in the back will be turning green, yellow, or red for your time.
Thank you, topics master. Next, we'll have the general evaluator.
Hi, I'm Woody Harrison. I'm the general evaluator. The duties of the general evaluator usually are to evaluate the progress of the meeting, et cetera, et cetera. Also, I introduce the individual speech evaluators. We should have, I guess, 2 to 9. Are you going to do a speech?
Yes.
Who's going to evaluate Lawrence?
And the evaluator is going to be Lawrence.
Okay. Anyway, I introduced the speech evaluators. I also introduced the grammarian for the grammarian's report and the timer for the timer's report. That's about it.
Thank you. Last role will be our timer, and that'll be Yui. Can you give us a description of the duties of the timer?
I'm ready to the report. These are time they used and help them to control it. And management of the time.
Okay, thank you. At certain times, you're going to give a green light to let them know that they have reached their time. Yellow means that they're about halfway through. Red means that they have reached their time or exceeded their time. Okay, but now we're moving to the education portion of the meeting. We will have 2 speeches tonight. Our first speaker will be speaking about blue zones. Everybody wants to live to be a long age, 100 years old, but our speaker tonight, he's going to be giving us some information on places where they actually are living to be 100, very healthy. He's going to be speaking about the blue zones. Help me welcome Greg.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Tonight I'd like to share some gnosis about this topic of areas in the world that people live to be 100 years old. In 1999, there was a gentleman named Dan Buettner who actually was was an author and was writing a story for National Geographic, and he was searching out places in the world that people lived to be extended length of time. And he found five places that he actually called blue zones. The first of these was in Sardinia. Sardinia being an island, it's off the west coast of Italy. It's kind of mountainous in the highlands there. It's the place where the largest or the greatest concentration of male centenarians in the world live. Second place is Okinawa, Japan. This is where the largest population of females over 70 years old are. The third is the Nicoyan Peninsula in Costa Rica, which is actually has the world's lowest rate of middle-age mortality and the second highest concentration of male centenarians. Fourth place is Seventh-day Adventist community in Southern California, in Loma Linda. Seventh-day Adventists they live on the average 10 years longer than their counterparts in North America. And the fifth place, it's kind of fits right in with the gnosis that we're sharing tonight, is actually from Greek. It's actually a Greek island, and I believe it's a Greek word, gnosis. That, anyway, there's a little island called Ikari that has the lowest rates of middle-aged mortality and the lowest rates of dementia. So when they studied, when Dan Buettner and his team were studying these 5 areas, and he was trying to find what are the lessons that we can learn, that we can apply to help people to live longer and more healthy lives. And he came up with 9 lessons, which I'd like to share with you. The lesson number 1 being move naturally. The world's longest lived people, they actually don't pump iron, they don't go to the gym, they don't run marathons, and yet they have found a way in their normal day-to-day life that nudges them towards movement. Like on the island where it's not level and the gardeners have to walk uphill a little bit and they don't have cars to move around. And so in each of these areas, the people have incorporated natural movement into their daily lives. Second one is purpose. Especially the Okinawans, they have a word for this. The Japanese have a word for this, which is ikarga. And the Noyan, the Koyans have a word which is plan de vida. They both mean the same thing. What is our purpose? Why do we get out of bed in the morning? The statistics have shown that when people have a clear purpose in their life, they can add life expectancy up to 3 years. The third lesson is what they call downshift. Now, we talk about stress. Even people in these blue zones are subject to stress. Stress creates inflammation. Inflammation is involved in every age-related disease. So it makes sense to try to monitor or relieve that stress. And in all these 5 cases, they've done that. The Okinawans, they think every day, they think for a few minutes about their ancestors. The Seventh-day Adventists, they pray every day. The Greeks, they take a nap. And the Sardinians, they have happy hour. The fourth lesson is the 80% rule. Going back to 2,500 years ago, Confucius had a mantra which was people should remember before they eat to stop when you're 80% full. So the difference between being 80% hungry and being full, that actually accounts for whether or not people gain more weight or not. The next is dealing with diet. Lesson number 5 is a plant slant. That means that the diet is slanted towards plants. Beans are the cornerstone or the most centenarian diets. Fava, black beans, soy, lentils. Interestingly, in all these cultures, they eat very little meat. In fact, maybe 4 or 5 times a month, some of the cultures they eat a little bit of meat, sometimes mostly pork. But interestingly, they eat maybe 4 or 5 times a month, but the portion size is 3 or 4 ounces. That's about the size of a deck of cards. Lesson number 6 is wine at 5. People in all the blue zones, except the Adventists, they drink alcohol moderately and regularly. Moderate drinkers outlive non-drinkers. The trick is drink 1 or 2 glasses per day with your friends and with food. Now, it also helps if you have Sardinian wine, which I've been searching all over Mobile. I haven't been able to find it yet, but I'm still trying to find it. Lesson number 7 is belong. 5 out of the 263 centenarians that Dan Buettner interviewed, they belong to some faith-based organization. Denominations don't matter so much. Didn't seem to matter. But the statistics have shown that if people attend 4 times a month some service or some faith-based organization, they can add up to 10 years to their life. Lesson number 7 is belong. I'm sorry we talked about that one. Number 8 is put your loved ones first. Successful centenarians in the blue zones put their families first. It means keeping their parents and their aging grandparents either close by or even in their home. Also, they commit to a life partner, which can add up to 3 years to your life expectancy. And they invest in their children with time and love. Lesson number 9 is to be part of the right tribe. Centenarians, either they belong to this group or they join this group that is the right one, that has a healthy lifestyle. Interestingly, the ladies in Okinawa, for example, they have little 5 women in a group. They bond for life. And these 5 women take care of each other. The statistics have shown that obesity or smoking or healthy attributes, even happiness, even loneliness, they're infectious. So putting yourself in a social network that supports healthy lifestyles is actually very important. In closing, I'd like to say that if you want to make it to age 100, you probably are not going to unless you win the genetic lottery. However, most of us have the opportunity to extend our lifetime into the 90s and to live a good quality of life. As the dentists have demonstrated, the average person's life expectancy could increase by 10 to 12 years by adopting a blue zone lifestyle. Always remember, there's no limit to what you can accomplish when no one cares to take credit.
I'm doing a speech.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll evaluate accordingly.
Okay.
Thank you, Brett, for the gnosis. I've taken good notes, and I think we'll be ready. He's going to do good work. Our next speaker is going to help us grow our club. The club is growing, but he's going to give us a few more points that we can improve even more. Growing some club.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest, I'm very grateful that you're here this evening. I think this is a good evening to be here. There's some interesting conversations, and I'm hoping it's going to continue that way. I very much would like to see a successful club. I'd like to see our club grow, because one of the most exciting things that I've found in any club that I've ever been in is the more people there are in the club, the greater dynamic. And the greater the dynamic, it also brings in a greater energy, which of course can create a little bit better gnosis, the spiritual understanding. And that is part of any kind of speech or program such as that. So to grow a better club, I've come up through a book called How to Build a Toastmasters Club. There are tips for a successful club. And I'd like to go through some of these. Some of these we're already doing, so I'm not 100% concerned about bringing those up. But some of the things I think would be of value. Now, it says you should have regular meetings, and people are attending regular meetings in person. But it also says that people must give speeches in person and give and receive verbal evaluations. This is part of the dynamic of the evening. If we have people get up here, then they give a speech. We get to know them better, because when you share your voice, when you share your ideas, you share yourself. And by sharing yourself, you can create more continuity in the club. So that's what we want to try to do by giving speeches in person. And of course, the verbal evaluation is more of a me thing in one sense, because when you evaluate me, that's going to help me to improve. Now, evaluations have to be good also. We'll go into that another time. Members must be afforded the opportunity to develop and practice leadership skills. So in our club, there are numerous leadership positions, from very simple things like being the sergeant at arms, who is in charge of making sure that the club is ready for members and guests when they arrive, all the way up to the president of the club, who is got to make sure that everyone feels at home and make sure that the meetings run smoothly, start on time, finish on time, and that kind of thing. Also, there is the opportunity for higher level, area, division, and district level leadership positions, and could even go beyond all the way to president of Toastmasters International. But it all starts at the club level. So you have to have a good club to inspire good people to want to become part and then want to become leaders and move forward. So, club members contribute to the atmosphere of the club, so it is important to foster a positive, pleasant environment, and each club needs to do that. We've already spoken about what the Sergeant at Arms does, but also members need to greet guests warmly and introduce them to others so that they feel like they are welcome and it's not just a wallflower hanging out at the side and not really part of this clique. Also, members should ask guests to fill out guest information forms that they can get and find out if they want to get further information about the club or emails about future meetings and so on. During the meetings, members should enthusiastically participate and fill in for those who are unable to attend. And as I have mentioned before to many of us, it's always a good idea to have some type of pocket speech so that when somebody doesn't show up, like tonight, that you can fill in very quickly because you already have something prepared. So if you can prepare, at least get a good outline of the next couple of speeches ahead, you may be able to jump into that very quickly. So then, of course, the members should carry out their assignments to their best of their ability. Because, of course, that's going to develop you and increase your ability so that you become better and better. Members should follow their manuals. So if you have a competent leadership manual, a competent communicator manual, or if you've moved on to advanced manuals, you should try to work them in such a way as to get them done and move on in your level of growth in the club. Okay, so finally, as a final point in this particular talk, I want to emphasize that the meeting is you and me. That we together are going to create a meeting that is going to be so enjoyable that when guests do come, they may not really want to go away. Mr. Toastmaster.
Good information, analysis. Okay, this time we're going to move to table topics where everybody else will have an opportunity to speak. Our table topic master is going to be Luke Green.
All right, good evening, fellow Toastmaster members. So what I normally like to do with my table topics is I try to narrow them down to the person. I used to come here a lot more than I have been recently, just been busy with work, and try to tailor them that way. But this time, since I hadn't been here in a while and I didn't know who was going to be here, I kind of took my personal experiences and put them on paper. So I'll start with the topics that way. So do we have a first volunteer? All right, Mr. Cody. All right. So my question to you, sir, is you have a 4-hour flight. You planned ahead. You've gotten online, you picked your window seat because it's a long flight. You board the plane, you notice a woman and child board the plane, they get separated. You can tell that they want to sit together. What do? But there's a caveat to this. You don't have a nice window seat anymore, it's a middle seat, and it's a 4-hour flight.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. So as you've heard, I just got put into a predicament. I enjoy the window seat, I get to see the nice view, but this is a flight I've taken several times, so it's not that big of a deal if I don't get the window seat. So I approached the woman and I said, hey, I noticed that your child is separated from you. Would you like to trade seats with me and we could make this happen so that you and your child can sit together. So after I've done this, I accomplished that and they're able to sit together, and I have a miserable flight in between two big guys on the way across the U.S.
But a clear conscience.
But a clear conscience, and I feel better about myself. Thank you.
All right, good job, good. All right, I have a next volunteer. Yes, thank you. A guy comes up to you in a parking lot, and he is asking money for his kids' basketball uniforms. But by the looks of the gentleman and your gut intuition, you just know that something's not right here. What do you do?
Fellow Toastmasters, if I were in a parking lot and a guy walked up to me and told me that he needed some money for his kid's basketball uniform, and I had a feeling that maybe he didn't really need any money for a basketball uniform, then I wouldn't give him any money. Usually I don't really give strangers money. Oftentimes I've been recommended not to because of course you hear that maybe they're just going to use money to buy drugs or something, and if they don't really look well off, it's better to give them something like food or simple advice. So in that case, personally, I wouldn't want to give the stranger money. I don't think anyone should feel obligated to, certainly not. So if that happened to me, in conclusion, I would not give the stranger money. But I guess I'd try to be polite about it and tell him to have a nice day, or maybe say, sorry, I don't have any money. That way he wouldn't really be hurt by it. But that's what I would do, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, good job. Yeah, I didn't know what to do either. The kids part got me, and I ended up giving them some money. And once I walked off, I was like, why'd you do that? Not buying kids basketball uniforms, but that's what it is. All right, I think Maurice. All right, Maurice, you're camping, and you have a bear. You wake up at 2:30 in the morning with a bear outside your tent. He's really close. He's ripping down tree branches. At times you can hear him breathe. You can even see his silhouette on the side of the tent at times. And he's out there for 4 hours straight. So what do? Do you just sit there?
Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, if I was out camping and there was a bear running around close by for 4 hours, I think what would happen to me is, whether the bear gets me or not, I'll be dead from I'll just scare myself to death. But if I don't pass out and die, and if the bear doesn't see me, well, he'll smell me. I'm pretty sure about that. I would try my best, and I don't know how well my best will be, to try to leave the area. And if I could keep a good presence of mind, I would try to look around for a more sturdy type of shelter than a tent and see what distance it is away from me, and if I can get to it without the bear getting startled or finding out that I'm in the area. So a few things could happen to me. I could just get scared, pass out and die, even though whether or not the bear reaches me, or I'll try to come up with a plan of escape. Topic master.
Yeah, I had all the same thoughts.
Yeah.
And then I had to comfort my girlfriend the whole time too. And, of course, I couldn't act scared, but it definitely made me worry. Do we have time for one or two more?
I would say so.
Okay. Next volunteer. Ma'am, if you would like to go, I have a very easy one for you. You can just,
Okay, all
if you
right,
would like to.
enthusiastically,
Okay.
dig deep into my doses.
If you like, could you just come up here and just give us a brief description of yourself and why you came to Toastmasters?
Oh, wow, that's hard. Okay. Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I'm not necessarily a television fan. How many of you actually watch television? By show of hand. By show of hand, how many of you actually watched television back in the 70s? Now, this is going to tell your age. How many of you know That Girl, the original That Girl? And that would be?
Marlo
And that would
Thomas.
be me. My name is Marlo Porter, originally Marlo Thomas, That Girl, the original That Girl. And I take pride in being that girl. What does that mean exactly? It means that I go to Toastmasters. I'm originally Club 2490 Toastmaster out of East Point, Georgia. However, I had opportunity to move around a little bit here, move a little bit there, and it brought me here. So I decided to come by and visit you guys and see what you guys were doing, because I just love Toastmasters and I want to be an enthusiastic Toastmaster and jump in when I can. So pretty much that's why I'm here and how I got here. And I'll be in the Mobile area for a couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to coming back and joining you guys. Once again, I'm Marlo Thomas, That Girl.
All right.
Yeah, very good.
You should have definitely gotten a harder one.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
Thank you. Another volunteer? All right, Lawrence.
You want me to, okay,
I got one for you.
I can do it. I can always.
So you pull up to a light, and a guy throws out a large beer can. It still has beer spilling out of the can, and as you pull up to the red light, and you see this, and you guys are sitting there, how do you react?
Woohoo! Party time! Well, I am somewhat inclined towards environmental issues, at least lately. So I would look at it as not really being a very good thing, but I also know that here in Lower Alabama, we have many people that get a large portion of their income by picking up beer cans on the side of the road. So I'm kind of stuck somewhere in the middle on this. I would feel bad that the guy's throwing his beer can out the window, but at the same time, I'm glad that there's going to help somebody who's actually trying to do something and pick up, even if it's just picking up beer cans to make money, it's better than sitting at home and not doing anything and trying to survive that way. So I'm kind of ambivalent, and I don't really know what a good Gnostic answer would be to this. So I guess that's the best I can do. Mr. Topic.
Your small flood punt down the city streets. You're in a neighborhood and you come up on a trailer that has nobody inside, it's abandoned. You see a dog sitting at the window. The water has been receded a little bit from the trailer, but there's still water all around and the dog's left inside by himself. What do you do with the dog?
What with the dog? Okay. Since I'm an animal lover, I will make every attempt to save the dog. Somehow, you have to break out a window. Break out a window. You have to get the door open somehow. You get the door open somehow. I don't know how many of you saw the footage from Louisiana last week where this car had went completely underwater and there was a woman in the car along with her dog. And it just so happened that these two guys in a boat came up at the exact right moment. And the guy went down and he broke the back of the windshield of the car and he pulls the woman out. Well, he gets the woman out and she's almost drowned. Well, she starts screaming at him, "Get my dog." Anybody see this?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Anyway, so the guy goes down again. He gets the dog and he winds up saving the woman and the dog. So I thought it was pretty cool. But I would try to save the dog, no doubt. I'd do what I wouldn't want to lose my life saving the dog, but I would certainly make an attempt to save the dog. Give me the dog.
Just to give you some idea of possible evaluation. It's not an evaluated speech.
Okay, all right.
And we brought it back through the water, but that was after like a 15-minute discussion on if we should try to put the dog in the boat, take it with us, what do we do? And you're taken to the pound, and it's almost like a death sentence. And we gave it a fighting chance, we got all sorts of stuff, but we did the best thing we could for it, but it was a sad situation. And I think that's about all the topics I have tonight. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Toastmaster.
The life and times of Luke Green. Good work, Luke. At this time, we're going to move into the evaluation portion of the meeting. Evaluation is very important. Get an opportunity to get some real feedback on performance. Our lead evaluator will be Woody Harris.
Okay, thank you. Start out by evaluating Brett's speech on blue zones, areas where people live to be 100 years old. Okay, it's an interesting speech because I saw that kind of thing on television before where they talk about what kind of lifestyle leads to this people in some areas live to be 100, 110, 120. So good information in your points, you know, about people, they move naturally, you know, they don't get too stressed out, they have purpose in life, they downshift so they don't have so much stress. I think stress kills a lot of people in this country, certainly. The 80% rule, which is, I guess, okay, you don't eat till you're full, you eat till you're 80% full. So I don't know exactly how you measure that, but I'd like to live to be 100 anyway. Let's see, the plant slant, you were talking about, okay, so people eat more vegetables, I guess, than they do meat. So that's more good advice. Wine at 5 p.m. I should certainly live to be 100 on that one. Being faith-based. Okay, so most of these people have spiritual beliefs, and they have something that I guess motivates them and maybe probably relieves stress and gives them faith in whatever they believe in. And another one of your points. Loved ones. Okay, so they're a member of they're close to their loved one. That's another point you made. That was point number 8. And part of the right tribe. Now, what did that mean? Was genetics? Is that genetics?
No, actually, the people either they are born into that environment or they join that environment.
Oh, okay. So
you got to join the right tribe.
Okay.
If you don't belong right.
Okay. Well, I would think genetics figures into this somewhere. Anyway, okay, how well did the speaker's topic apply to the audience? I thought very well. Certainly all of us would live, or most of us would like to live to be 100 or above, I would think. Is there anybody in here who would want to live to be 100? Lawrence, you're almost there.
Getting close, getting close.
Anyway, was the topic well researched? Obviously it did, because you backed up all of your points quite adequately. How well did the speaker support his or her main points? I think, like I said, you had evidence to back up your theories. Did the speaker vary the types of support material? I think so. different facts, and things that you had. Was the speech effectively organized? Yes, it was. Did the speaker take advantage of body language and vocal variety? I thought you did. I thought you had a couple of pauses there where you got lost a little bit, but that just happens. No big deal. What could the speaker have done differently? I just said you had just a couple times when you got maybe just a touch lost, but it's okay. What did you like about the speech? I thought it was good information that we certainly can all relate to about lifestyle and living to be, what makes people want to live to be older and so forth. And I thought it was an excellent speech. I thought you delivered it quite, as a matter of fact, I think it's one of the better speeches I've heard you give. So outstanding on that. And for our second evaluator, Maurice is going to come over here to evaluate Lawrence for us real quick.
Okay, the evaluation for Lawrence's speech, and it's on club building, how to build a Toastmasters club. And basically, Lawrence was giving the elements of a good Toastmasters club, not only the officers, but the examples the officers set, because the officer is not in a position just to be in a position. He's there to be an example to the other members of the club. The way that the officer leads will be a great influence on, or should be a great influence on each member of the Toastmasters Club, whether they're an officer or not. And I'll go over some of these elements of his speech. The impact, he did educate. Hopefully he did motivate. I do feel motivated. And it was entertaining to an extent. And then as far as an opening, he gave a good opening. He gave a good approach to how to build a Toastmasters club. And he had clarity and clear intent. Clear intent is to build a good, active, vibrant Toastmasters club. Structure, it was logical. He had support. The closing was concise. Technique, it was enthusiastic. To some extent, it was humorous. Physically, he did give good posture. He did give good gestures, hand movements, and eye contact. He basically gave everyone some sort of eye contact. The voice, he had good volume on his voice. Everybody from the front to the back, they were able to hear what he had to say. Had good pace, didn't go too fast, didn't go too slow, had good pitch, and had good pauses most of the way. Words, he articulated his words very well, had good grammar, and good rhetorical devices. So that is the evaluation of Lawrence's speech.
Very good. That was a good speech. At this time, I would like to call on our grammarian to give us a grammarian's report. And that is Lawrence.
Good evening. Tonight was kind of interesting. We had only 2 people that I counted that used the word of the day. So we'll have to connect with the, what would it be, the spiritual, the gnos, the gnosis, to make sure that that happens more often in the future, that we get the word of the day. As far as ahs and ums, just about every speaker, except for Marlo and Woody, used an ah or an in their speech. I guess Maurice counted 3 for me. I'm sure I did more than that. I've been bad about that lately. And Brett, I stopped counting after a little while because I wanted to focus on your speech and not on just on the things you did. But you had quite a few, and most everybody else had 1 or 2. So it was not too bad. Now, Brett also, I used a double word. I don't know which one. He didn't write it down.
Yeah, it slipped my mind by the time. I heard it and then I marked it and then.
Brett used the, and then continued his thing. So he double spoke once. Maurice said not only in one of his speeches. Now Woody didn't use doubles, but you have this and so forth filler that you use still a lot. So other than that,
I do that sometimes.
so it was a good, very good speeches from everyone. Thank you very much.
Very much. And at this time, I would like to call on our timer, and that is you.
What I don't know the name. The speaker, the first speaker is ready. Right. It's a 7 minutes 43 seconds. The second speaker is Lawrence. He is 6 minutes 20 seconds. No, 22 seconds. And table topic. The first speaker.
Cody.
Sorry. It's 1 minute 10 seconds. And the second one, sorry.
Heather. Yeah, Heather.
It's 1 minute 13 seconds. Maria's is 1 minute 45 seconds. No. 1 minute 12 seconds. And the Lawrence is 1 minute 7 seconds. Woody is 1 minute. Evaluator, Woody is 3 minutes 2 seconds. Maria is 2 minutes 39 seconds.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we've had a good meeting here tonight. Marlo, when I heard your name, you're the only other Marlo I've ever heard of other than Marlo Thomas. Anybody know who Marlo Thomas is? Does anybody know what organization they founded before?
Danny Thomas,
Well,
daughter.
St. Jude's.
Hospital. They I think Danny Thomas founded that many years ago, and it's a big cancer hospital for children. And to this day, it's still going.
So Phil Donahue's wife.
She married to Phil Donahue?
She was, yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, but anyway, you're the only other Marlo I've ever met. And I do remember the show, by the way, so, but anyway. Okay, I think we've had a good meeting, had a good turnout here tonight. Great table topics, 2 good speeches. I think everybody got to participate a little bit, and overall, I think we've had a good time, and we've all learned a little something certainly about how we can age gracefully. So thank you all, and at this time I will not turn over, but I will relinquish the lecture to our
Great job on the evaluation portion. At this time, Mr. President, we have time for an education overview.
We have we have about 4 to 5 minutes if everyone has one.
Keeter has.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, we'll turn this selection back to our president. We had a great meeting. Thank you everybody for coming out.
All right. At this time, can you review the agenda for next week? It should be pretty easy for next week.
Yes, next week's agenda is going to be very easy. We are going to be doing a special program on leadership and management. Our speakers will be the division director
Yeah, division director will do at least 2 positions, and then I'll have to.
and possibly the area director, which would be Tammy, might do a second presentation. And there will be no evaluations, and that's pretty much going to be the entire meeting. And then our next meeting after that will be in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. So we will meet again on
September 13th.
September 13th. Hey, that's a good day. That's the day in honor of Frederick. Right? Our good friend Frederick.
Well,
Well, okay, Frederick came on the evening of the 12th and went through the 13th, so we'll still be good with that. You don't know Frederick? No?
Oh, hurricane?
Yeah.
She had her about it.
Yeah. Ready for Freddie, and they were.
Okay, is that it?
I think so. I don't-
Okay,
If we don't
okay.
have anything, if we don't have anything to present, we're gonna have to do that.
Okay, all
Maybe
righty.
we can talk to Kedrick and make sure to be able to do that next week.
Okay.
That would be a good way to top off that meeting,
Okay, all righty.
okay?
If there is nothing else, we have 5 minutes left. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Yeah, everybody. No, it is the leadership training meeting that leaders are required to attend, but members are also welcome.
I think we put over business,
I think I saw you on,
I guess 7:05.
you were the one
Yeah, that might be me. That might be me, yeah, so have a good time. All right, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Okay, sure.